Good day and welcome to the Frontline Chatter podcast brought to you by the World of EUC. I am your host, Jarian Gibson, and I am back today with Patrick Coble as my co-host. How you doing today, Patrick?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. It's Friday. The weekend's almost here.
On us.
It's not like Snowmageddon, Blizzardgeddon here, so it's looking nice weather. So ready to rock and roll, and then you're getting ready to go on vacation too. So I bet you're ready to bounce out as well.
Ready to go, but we got like two guys beside us, so I got to point this way.
But let's get to our guest. Oh yeah, let's get to our guest today. No people I am very familiar with, no strangers to me. We are talking to some of the Choice Solutions crew. We are here today with Scott Osborne and Shane Kleinert. How you doing today, Oz?
Doing good. Thanks for having us on, fellas.
How about you, Shane?
Doing awesome, man. Yeah, thanks for having us on. Excited to be here, talk to you guys again, and support the World of EUC.
Yes, and speaking of support, you guys are our channel sponsor and have supported us from the beginning. You're back again this year, so thank you for all the support. You guys have also been on one of our webinars, I believe, and also you were presenters along with Ray at last year's EUC World Independence. So thank you for all the support and being a part of the community. But let's kind of go ahead and get into things. Oz, will start with you. Kind of tell us about yourself and what you do at Choice Solutions.
Yeah. I'm a senior solutions architect here out of Omaha, Nebraska, co-EUC lead with Shane over there on that side. We're also Azure Solutions Architects, Enterprise Architects for the kind of the Azure practice side of things for us for cloud. And really, it's just we cross over all things EUC. So again, hail from Omaha, Nebraska. So sort of that Midwest, North Central up here. So
yeah, not too far from me. I'm about 3 hours south from you, and I pretty much grew up in Omaha, so know exactly how things are in the Midwest.
Yep.
How are you doing today? Oh, go ahead, Patrick.
I said we got the Florida boy here too, Shane.
That's right, man. Shaking and baking. We got the sun in the background. We're hustling. I got the liquor in the back. We're running a bootleg out of the side over here, trying to make some extra cash.
I would expect this.
Right? It's kind of just stayed here. These are all books. We just moved into our new place, a year plus renovation. So it's super excited about that. And with that, it's kind of a part-time office. We got our Choice office as well down here. So I got the background, and I just kind of kept that and smeared off. I'm not a smeared off drinker. These are packing boxes, so we're on the whiskey side. But yeah, happy to be here. So senior architect and co-lead, as Oz mentioned, our EUC practice. So very heavily focused on the Azure Citrix side. We're all here former Citrix CTPs. I don't know if we want to bring that topic up or not. It's close to home here on that. So maybe we'll leave that as a bonus topic. But so a lot of the same stuff. So we do architecture, pre-sales. We handle all our large enterprise accounts. Do some implementation services focused on our larger enterprise, more complicated projects. But ready to be here. Been Choice, Southeast, South Florida. Been here 11 years in April. So long time.
I want to say too, Oz just been there, I think 14 years now this year as well.
Yeah, you're right. I think, man, how do you know that so well? But yes, I think it's 14.
It's those work anniversaries.
Jarian, funny story. Jarian interviewed me in 2011.
Wow.
So we
funny
met
story for me too.
Or something. I remember.
Next year you can get your learner's permit, Oz, at work.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I was at Choice Solutions for a long time as an employee. And then when I went independent, they're one of my biggest customers that I did subcontracting for. So very familiar. I think I helped both bring Oz and Shane over to the Choice team. And then I got
Southeast. Yeah.
I got Shane on board, then I bounced.
Yeah. It's like first day in and you're like, all right, we're out. I'm like, well, wait a second. What?
Hey, that just gave you room to do your thing now, you and Oz.
Yeah,
right?
and massive shoes to fill, man.
Yeah, I remember driving up to Omaha, Dana and I going up there to start building the Omaha area out. We were up there and staying with my mom. And then we started recruiting Oz to the team and brought Oz aboard. And then I remember with Shane and I met through the community. I think Shane kind of Twitter stalked me back in the day, said, "Hey, you got to join Citrix IRC."
Yeah.
You know, and so I joined the IRC channel. We became good friends, started doing presentations and that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to have you guys on today. Known you guys a long time, and you're a great bunch of guys. So
Friends and family.
Same here, man. Yeah, we're super close, man. And I may or may not have camped outside your house or whatnot, but yeah.
Yeah. Buy one, get one. I was the buy one. Then you got Shane.
That's right.
You know?
All right. Well, cool. Well, one of the things is what's kind of the things that Choice Solution does in the EUC space? It kind of it's obviously changed a lot. Then if you would have answered this question 5 years ago, it'd probably be a very big difference in what you'd say right now. But what's kind of the focus on the EUC team at Choice right now?
Well, Shane, I'll let you go first.
Yeah. So the company, it's we've been in business as a company for over 40 years, and EUC's at the time before EUC was EUC, it was just Citrix. Jim Steinlage started the company. It was very focused around Citrix remote access. We've been doing that since the early days, right? And we've all been in that space for a very, very long time. And so with that, as the company had grown over the years, really, we're, I think, just under 75 users in the users. We're end users. We are end users of the company technology, but 75 team members, in the company, and it's very boutique focused shop. And we heavily focus on end user computing. We have some of the top engineers, and we're really focused with the EUC, as you know, our end user computing. It's everything else is kind of drag along with that, right? So we're focused on that, application, desktop delivery, and then with that, over the years we've kind of been, and Choice Solutions in general has really been kind of at the forefront of all these different technologies through the years, right? So early on the Palo Alto side, on VMware, on Nutanix, we've been with Nutanix for 11 plus years, and so all that kind of is a big part of the EUC story. But I'd say over the last, and so with that, design, builds, architecture, advisory services, we do all that, right? But we're very focused on Citrix up until, would you say, Oz, about 4 years ago or so? Maybe 3. Time flies, man. So I don't even know. So it was something like that. It was like 3 years ago. And we kind of, as the market has shifted, it was basically back when Citrix started to go private. Some of those big changes started happening. As an organization, we took a step back and we kind of formalized an EUC practice versus just a Citrix practice, where we can kind of expand the umbrella in our services to not just look at Citrix, but look at, we've been doing a lot on Azure, Oz and I, Azure architects. So looking at Azure Virtual Desktop, Azure Virtual Desktop plus Nerdio, Microsoft Cloud PC, Intune. So all that kind of got expanded, and then expanding outside of that to, parallels as well, and solutions outside of Citrix. And that's hard for us to say because we live, eat, and breathe Citrix. But with a lot of those changes and then focusing on, these top enterprise class customers and doing amazing things, they're doing incredible things from a software and product perspective. But, other things that we all love, like, community and some of the smaller customers, it's just not their focus right now, right? Yeah. So it's a win for the bigger customers, not a win for the smaller customers. So us as a company, we had to obviously, change that up. And so as you talk to that too, for us is big changes on our staff.
It sounds like y'all kind of followed your customers' leads and also kind of stayed ahead because you knew there was rumblings and change coming even before your customers started changing or asking questions, to go ahead and get ready for the next chapter or chapters in this EUC space, when it's almost been kind of one author has been, writing all the books for years, right? And so now there's a lot more mini series and stuff like that going on.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I mean, all of us, they always say you punch in the face changes the way that all of us got punched in the face with COVID, right?
Yep.
So we started seeing things change, and we had, things picked up pretty much a furious pace on where the market was going and what happened there for all of us in that time we shall not speak of. That was a bleak time, but that quickly changed things. It changed everything we do from a day-to-day perspective. And really since COVID, and then with all the other changes in the market, obviously, with Broadcom and Citrix and things happening there, that has definitely changed and made us, look at things a little bit differently. And our customers they need more. They need options. Right? They're all looking for different options, and as we know, the EUC space is filled with a lot of good options for a customer. So.
One thing I want to jump back to where Shane said about up to 75 employees now, and Patrick and I were fortunate of you guys inviting World of EUC to come to Choice Connect last year, and it seems like every time I come around the Choice team, whether it's for my job or for the community or just stopping by to say hi, a lot of the foundational pieces are still there, but it's amazing how much has grown and changed over the years of coming in there and just visiting you guys.
Yeah, it was fantastic seeing you guys and having you guys there in October, I think it was. And, we're doing that again this year. I'm sure you guys will be there as well again.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really anybody that's been around Choice Solutions for any amount of time, whether a partner, a vendor, anything, we're all about family here.
Yep.
It's very, very family focused and relationships and loyalty, and that's why a lot of us have been here for a long time, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, because people is what makes the job in so many cases, right? And when you've got a tight group, and I think for y'all with your leadership too, and along with y'all's thought leadership, y'all have had like a good direction and focus, and everyone's together pulling the same way and working together. And I think that's like just a testament of Choice Solutions and what y'all have done over the years and just continue to do, which is great.
No, I appreciate that. And it's an incredible, as I said, the tenure is something that we've seen across the organization. And there's a lot of organizations, a lot of large, big companies that are basically, they'll use the term family lightly and throw it around. And so you hear people say like, oh, they use the word for, like, this is a true, like this is the culture. And, it's Jim, the CEO, and the partners are, his sons and Brad. And it's the culture is just trickles down, and it's really just the farmer's mentality, everyone doing the right thing, rolling your sleeves up. We're not a multi-tiered, organization where there's a lot of different managers and directors, right? Everyone kind of rolls their sleeves up, gets the job done. And we got a lot of really good talent. And I think being that culture, that family relationship culture really drives how we, treat our customers, right? And those long-term relationships is big for us. But it also allows us to be agile, like when we look at like our size of our company. And so we've adapted the stack, or we call our EUC stack, heavily, over the years. And we're not tied to, a lot of larger, partners, or we like to call it VAR, or value add or reseller, not just someone that's like, pushing boxes or selling software, right? We're selling really value added services. That's something that for us, it allows us to be agile, because we're not tied to like, a bigger, like a Cisco, for instance, where we're a lot of our revenue is driven by that, right? We're able to bring in these different solutions, and Choice gives us that trust to help kind of build a business within a business. And we got a great team across the board of solid engineers.
So you mentioned earlier too that you guys are both Azure architects, and so what are your thoughts on what Microsoft is doing in the EUC space? Because there's a little bit disruption there, and it's like kind of like the buzz right now with Microsoft and some of their EUC solutions. So what are your thoughts on that? And are you seeing any challenges there, whether it's on people going to Azure, the AVD side, Cloud PC, Microsoft 365, any challenges around that stuff? And then don't go too much on Cloud PC, because we'll touch a little bit on that next too as well, but just overall in general, Microsoft in the EUC space.
Yeah, I'll give you a short answer. I mean, Microsoft's winning. I mean, the bottom line is they're winning. They know what they're doing, whether you hate it, love it, whatever, right? In the EUC space, Windows and Office and Microsoft with Entra ID in general are winning, right? So they're closing that gap with AWS. Right? AWS got a big jump on them way back, but EUC in general, and what Microsoft is doing, they're adding to their entitlements hand over fist. All these other features and capability like multi-session, like you mentioned, Cloud PC we'll go into, but they're doing a lot of stuff there that's really propelling people to Azure. And so our as Choice Solutions, our number one is Azure for public cloud.
Yep.
So you guys may have another question about the, more cloud, later, but that is our number one because of our EUC focus. And that's really this tip of the spear, I always say, for us getting Azure workloads running. And what we're doing is usually EUC focused in Azure first.
Any thoughts on that, Shane?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at like the last couple of years, right, Microsoft obviously has they have the OS, right, and so they kind of they kind of stalled the market with the licensing, right, and until, in my opinion, in the background they're getting all this stuff ready. There's a bunch of guys back there building stuff, and when they felt like it was ready, they started opening up. I mean, what makes sense, what you're seeing today is as cloud PC as what they brought to the forefront, right, and it starts to, it's a very delicate balance, and being able to balance the ecosystem, right? Because they're now offering, Windows in the cloud, right? And that's in my opinion their holy grail, right? I mean, they're per user per month. We'll go into it more a little bit later, but then they offer now, Windows Link. Right now they're offering a thin client, right? And now there's a whole thin client ecosystem, and they're trying to create that. So, and you have Citrix out here, and obviously Citrix is a massive extension to what Microsoft has been for years and years and years. And Citrix had to jump back in and quick and like, hey, with UHMC, Universal Hybrid Multi-Cloud Licensing, you got unlimited cloud PC licenses, because they want to make sure that they're still providing value. But so I think Microsoft, as Oz says, doing all the right things here. But with that said, it doesn't mean that it's the right solution for everybody, right? There's still scenarios where on-prem makes sense, whether AWS makes sense. It's all about, obviously, applications, data, and use cases. That hasn't changed. All this shit changes around us, but those key things, applications, data, and use cases, those still drive where you go, right? And so, but yeah, we're heavily, we were historically not Intune guys, right? I came from an endpoint background with LAN desks or thousands and thousands of endpoints back in the day. Oz was SCCM, right? And now you look at like, we're like Intune, we're like, we're not touching that. We're over here in our world. And now it's like converged, right? With Cloud PC and the policy engine. And so we're definitely doing a lot of that now. We got the team's been ramping up on it, they're doing some great things, honestly, and that's why we're pushing that way. There's other solutions we have on the truck as well, so it's not just Microsoft.
So you recently had a webinar on Cloud PC. How did that go? And are you seeing a lot of adoption there from customers? So, and what are you seeing around Cloud PC in general?
Yeah, we actually just had that yesterday, I think it was. But yes, Cloud PC it's really, that conversation is switching to more of a persistent versus non-persistent model. And again, Microsoft is pushing hard on Cloud PC. It's a win for them, right? They don't care whether it's just off, on. You pay them a fixed price, all good to go. Very easy. It's a very nice service, actually. So it's coming up in pretty much any conversation we have where we're talking AVD, and then looking to go that way, because you need the same client virtualization rights for both solutions, either which way you go. And it's just about talking through the feature sets of one versus the other and what makes sense. So I would say for us, Cloud PC is coming up in all those conversations where our customer is looking towards usually AVD or something like that.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, it's topic of conversation. Webinar went great. It's recorded, by the way. You can go on the YouTube, search Choice Solutions, subscribe, whatever. It's right. You got to put it up there. If I go like this, it like just shows up. But yeah, it was like 90 minutes. So we got to go into, you try with a larger audience. You can't just be 100% deep, but you got to try to be broad as you can. And so we think we did a decent job at that, and talking through AVD, talking through Cloud PC, what makes sense where, and the different options with Cloud PC, because it used to be just persistent only, and now you have the ability just recently with Frontline Shared, where they do offer a non-persistent option. So, but it's definitely pretty much every one of our customers is bringing it up as a topic of conversation, and so
and I mean, to that point, then, as everything's been changing like that, with some of the changes at Citrix and Omnissa and the VMware split and all that, I'm sure that you saw a lot of change happen with those two companies doing the changes they're doing, and as it rolls down to you as a VAR, and especially to your customers when they got renewals, and then they're wondering like, should I stay? Should I go? I'm sure there was a lot of conversations for the past year or so.
No, huge. And it was actually one of the things that we talked about as we led into the subject of Cloud PC and AVD yesterday, was what are the things that are pushing to this direction and making this a conversation. And that's one of the big ones, was licensing changes and Broadcom and Citrix plays.
Yep.
Right. Those two alone over the last 12 to 16 months between those two major players has made it so that every customer is asking, what should I do next? What are my other options maybe that make more sense depending on the features I need? So,
Yeah, and it's super interesting because you come Citrix is in majority of the accounts, the larger accounts, right? And you look at what they're doing with their platform license, right? It's like they keep buying up technology to obviously grow laterally within the environment,
Yep.
and it's disrupting the ecosystem, right? In my opinion, it's just what you're starting to see. Obviously, a Uber agent, great solution, but they were Control Up is amazing. We've been Control Up partner for 11 years, early advisory board, just incredible solution. But you got Uber agent now, right? And then they went and just bought. iGel was like, man, iGel is where you're at. And then they bought Unicon. Right?
Unicom, yeah.
And so if you're, a large enterprise customer, they're going to be talking at the higher levels and say, hey guys, your platform customer, I know you're big iGel. Maybe you want to take a look at this Unicon stuff. Maybe you want to, and so the customer has to do their due diligence and look at it, right? And so, now it doesn't mean they're going to have all the solutions, right, or all the features and functionalities that they need for the business, but it disrupts the conversations with our customers, right? And it's good for the platform ones. There's a ton of value, and we're telling the whole story, right? We're doing SPA, and we, those customers are loving it, right? But some of the other customers, and we have to bring in these other solutions to help with that. But it's also, expanding things and, technologies we talked about for years with application packaging. You're doing some more conversation around that because now you're looking at managing that application on the physical endpoint with Intune and also in the cloud PC. Yep. We're looking at we've been working with third-party patching solutions because you're going more persistent. So it definitely changed kind of how we're looking at things and then just kind of this like just non-persistent route. I'd say it definitely impacted. All those changes impacted the practice for sure.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned Uber Agent and Unicon, and those are two great acquisitions by Citrix. But I still think their best one, as of late, has been Device Trust, and it was more from getting that technology, but it was also strategic too because if someone else would have picked that up, that would have been a big acquisition for somebody else. So it seems like they struck at the right time for that acquisition.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And what's great about that, besides being probably the one most well known to us, and really those of us that have played in that sandbox with Device Trust, it's an incredible product. But they in January they backported that to also be allowed for DAS. Even our DAS customers that haven't gone to the UHMC licensing, either 1 or 2.0, doesn't matter. You have it. And so it's starting to show up now in all of our customers' tenants on the Device Trust side of things. So it's a really good point you make with just another value add feature, that they gave them.
It helps against that, Citrix isn't a security company, right? I mean, they're acquiring technologies and really focusing because they are setting their strategy. They're focusing on their enterprise customers, and they're going to drive and they're building phenomenal product. And now they're going to be integrating Device Trust as just another, play in that, not a security company story. So definitely great bringing that up because that was an awesome acquisition. So
kind of makes you think what they're going to do next.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they have funds to do a lot of things.
Got that money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because other than Citrix, Omnissa, and Microsoft, who's some of the other players in the EUC space that you all are deploying or seeing or being brought up? Because I know for a while, the most two common head-to-head battle was Citrix and VMware. Microsoft was kind of the MVP for a little bit, just kind of minimum viable. But it's caught up a lot. And then it's like, all right, now you're down to, you can battle those three, but who's the other ones that come into the arena to do that? And I know sometimes it's really based on customer size and, on-prem, cloud, all that. But what are some of the other ones you're seeing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the big one for us, and I'll let Shane, we're now fully onboarded with Parallels here at Choice Solutions. So we're doing quite a bit with them. As you mentioned, the big three, right? Even for us, Omnissa, because it now is Omnissa and there's some unlock from the VMware stack now, or will be, that for us is going to be a big play this year. So Omnissa is going to be folded into that enterprise type class play where Citrix Workspace is today. But Parallels really is the one where we're doing quite a bit with right now for that space that was really just thrown to the side by Citrix. And then we have some other players. We used to do a lot. We used to do some stuff with Frame. Now Dizian, not so much anymore, right? We've been talking to the fellows over with Sonnet.io. Is another one we've been talking to, and then Shane, what was the other one?
Yeah, Porto. Yeah, been talking Porto, and so these are kind of Sonnet.io's newer. Obviously, when you're a startup newer, you're able to look at things with a different lens, and they're kind of looking at it with a security focused lens. But we're looking at Porto. Porto has been around for 10 plus years. They have a lot of longevity, working in their product, but they've been very laser focused on like the education space.
That's right.
And so they're kind of starting to break out, obviously, and they've done some great things in education, DAS-based solution, they built in all these classroom-based functionalities into the platform. So it's nice, but it's like with now, just like everything happens, right? Citrix just created a whole market now for all these people in small to medium business that don't have good solutions. So they naturally are jumping in that like, hey, we've been here 10 years. We got good stack. But that's why they have like AHV integration, something that's coming for them. So when that gets kind of integrated, we're going to start looking at it in-house for those customers, and they're looking at it with they're looking at Kubernetes, and they got containers, and so they have a modern architecture for what has been these bigger EUC vendors have been traditional infrastructure. And they haven't gotten the modern route yet. They are in the control plane world, but not on-prem. And so these guys are on-prem and in the cloud. So kind of keeping an eye on things outside of just, parallels. And we're looking at like Porto is kind of our other one that we're looking at as well. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I've noticed is when you look at all the other vendors other than those big three, their takes just on the nerdy thing, like the management console and how things are laid out and where you do things. Because for some of us, we've been doing Citrix for, 15, 20 years. You're used to clicking here. Even as they've moved stuff, there's been some familiarity. And I think that's where, when I first started getting into like the Parallels console, I was like, oh, that's there. Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's kind of intuitive, but you got to like kind of break your own cycle because you've been used to it for so long. And Porto is kind of the way it is. But it's got some things that I think would be, if people go down that road and that's what they choose, can go like, oh, that's pretty sweet. Because if you are in a meeting and everybody's in their virtual desktop and doing their thing, it's like, oh, let me just one click share my screen. Oh, let me share my screen. Like it's like the way it's built in for the teachers and the way the things layer in there, it's meant to be, sharing is caring. And it's like, oh, it's built in where it's not like I need a go-to meeting in my VDI or WebEx or whatever Zoom to then share something else. It's all just kind of built in. So that's kind of a real cool feature for it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, Porto is one to keep an eye on too, especially with them coming into the enterprise space, being primarily from the education space. And then Parallel is also another one. It kind of seems like they're rapidly adding features to kind of catch things up too. And with Parallels and Omnissa being owned by the same parent company, that will be interesting too long term to watch to see, are they going to stay separated, or are they going to kind of bring them together? What's going to happen with them? So yeah, very interesting to see with all the change in the market, how things end up turning out with this.
Yep.
And that's in Parallels too on that side of the house. Is really like, you look at like AVD, you look at Nerdio, unless you're staying in the Azure, the Azure world, you have all your data on that side, or your contractor, SaaS, web, modern technology. If you're in this hybrid world, if you're not in the Azure ecosystem with Azure local, right, local to run that, you're kind of locked in, right? And that's where Parallels kind of opens up, where we typically are in the Citrix world with the openness, right? That's Parallels right now. Now with that, there's some limitations around the greater things that, around unified communications, things are getting built back in, but that's where we kind of are able to cherry pick what makes sense based on the customer. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. We're going to keep an eye on things and continue conversations around that for sure.
So we talked a lot about Azure actually, and then AWS was mentioned a little bit. Are you seeing a lot of your EUC customers adopt a cloud first or an all-in cloud strategy? And for those that have gone full cloud, have they pulled back all or some on-prem at all? Because I know that's been some things that I've seen out there where people are saying, I'm cloud first, I'm going all in cloud, but they either have that long migration, things don't go, it's expensive, and they end up pulling some things back, or there's like back-end stuff they can't move to the cloud, and that's not causing the best end user experience. So what are you seeing around that? And then, what are you seeing about them pulling back and either all or some back to on-prem?
Yeah, I mean, for us, with our customer, it's hybrid cloud is really, that's it right now, right? We have some that are greenfield, or as you mentioned, born in the cloud.
Yeah.
Those are very small percentage, right? That works right out of the gates. A lot of times this might be a startup companies, or they're not doing anything on prem, so you got a fresh new start. They want to start out there. They don't want to need no data center nonsense and nothing they're managing, right? So it makes sense, but that's a very small percentage. Majority of ours are hybrid cloud, where they have some customer managed on-prem situation, and maybe they don't want to have 2 data centers anymore. That's a big thing right now. They want to use public cloud for the secondary data center.
Yep.
As a burst, or just DR or whatever, to be able to use cloud to what cloud is best for, where you don't spend all your monies. Everything you got. But so, and then multi-cloud comes into the play as well, because there are
not just the buzzword. We are seeing that more and more conversations come up with our customers around that.
A lot of them started doing something in AWS already, and then they see Azure for what we talked about earlier, being the use of licensing costs, entitlements, Microsoft winning over there. So Azure then comes into focus as well, but that doesn't mean their AWS side is going away.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, AWS is doing a lot of cool stuff over there with workspaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Allowing Office and Client OS on top of workspaces. Now they got the personal and pool that they've rebranded into. And so AWS is putting themselves out there as a viable option. But for us, it's a lot of Azure. A good amount are doing something with AWS with the multi-cloud, and less so as you get outside of that to the GCPs and things like that. But
yeah, and that's also for us too. We kind of strapped ourselves. We're got almost 11 years now, if not a little longer, on the Nutanix side, because of that holistic nature, that agnostic nature that they have on the platform, of being it's to create the HCI market before it was what it was. Obviously, everyone kind of folded in that story, and obviously Broadcom and the big changes there has just accelerated what we're seeing on that side on the Nutanix world. But their NC2 platform, their clusters platform, essentially being able to run Nutanix software on bare metal in Azure, in AWS. Future other clouds are coming. I'm not sure what I'm able to say here, but point is then the user can take that same workload, same management experience, same operational practices that they do today that they're used to, and travel that across, whether it's AWS, Azure. They can exit if they need to at that point, right? And it's bare metal, and you're not stuck to those T-shirt sizes. You're getting guaranteed performance and that sort of thing, but that's something we've seen customers that will do the lift and shift to cloud and then realize after, like, oh, this is someone else's hardware, performance isn't the same, and they start running into these issues and they're trying to exit, cost drives up. So we try to go the hybrid nature first, as Oz mentioned, start creating a bridge, right? Get the Azure landing zone out there, get the bridge from a connectivity standpoint, start putting EUC workloads out there that make sense. And then we talk about, we really focus on the EUC side of things, but we talk about some other pieces as they make sense, potentially moving up there. But that's why we really like the Nutanix story. When Oz talks about the multi-cloud there is really important there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see too, because right now primarily it's AWS and Azure. And Google sitting out there with GCP. I know Citrix has some of their control plane stuff there for DAS. I know that some other EUC vendors have also used GCP for their for the hosting piece of that side. They've also recently, I think last year, they announced their bare metal service as well. So it seems like Google is starting to make some moves on the GCP. I can't even talk GCP side. But I wonder, they're kind of out there like they're the one of the big 3 cloud vendors right now out there. That you guys see, because I know we've talked about GCP as well with some of your customers. But I wonder if they're going to make any play for any of these other EUC solutions, because they're kind of the third one out there that doesn't have their own broker type solution. So Also, too, like I mentioned before, I know you guys have talked about GCP, or we talked about before in our side chats. Are you guys seeing a lot of customers there? Because I know in the past, Oz, I think you did some Disney on Frame stuff there. But are you still seeing a lot of good demand there for GCP?
We don't do a ton there, right? It comes up in conversations once in a while. Honestly, it did just the past week actually, and talking about BYO licensing, and I had to tell them that's going to be a sticker shock because they got a single tenant option in GCP, because you can do Win 11 over there, but you got to buy it, right? So it does come up, and yes, Citrix obviously has really nice integration from an MCS orchestration standpoint. GCP is one of the big three hyperscalers, so it makes sense. But for us, not near as much over there on that side.
Yep. On the EUC side, I know just in general with community, I know we've seen a lot of changes, hence why we're even here on this right now. There's been a lot of changes of OEMs doing their own thing, pulling back a little bit. But then I think we mentioned it earlier with some of that stuff is like COVID has kind of changed everything still. And we're still seeing ripples of it. I just came and spoke from a VMUG today. And I was over there yesterday, and it's just, a fraction of the number that was there in 2018, 2019. Yeah. It's still going up there. And it's kind of wild to see how much it's changed. And then, like we said, CTP, our tier comes out for that. And a lot of those things are also changing.
Yeah, on the community side, it's I'll tell you, it's something I haven't, it's we were go over the can of worms here, but just short.
It's just small, a little thing to stand on. Little soapbox.
Yeah, it's just community. There's big community changes, and it's interesting if you see the big changes Citrix made to the community. Omnissa is making, like, they're shrinking the investment, Citrix, and Omnissa is increasing the investment, right? So you're seeing that. And just being even as far as, we are looking at it, it's like, man, you can see the difference, like huge difference. And from Citrix, from a business perspective, you take your community hat off, you take your CTP hat off, you take your human hat off, and you look at what they're doing from a business standpoint. It doesn't make sense for them to invest in the community right now. I personally, I think it makes, like, if you just look at it from that perspective, but if you look at it, and that's short-term vision, right? And you look at it from a longer term, these are soldiers that value your product, and they're going to eventually go to other companies, and they're going to eventually be at one of those larger enterprise companies that you're trying to get into, or you're already there. Maybe you want to expand at the champion. So I feel like things could have been done a little differently there. It is what it is. You got to move on, right? And then on the CTP side, obviously that program got discontinued. I think it when you look at, again, their vision, right? CTP was a lot of that feedback came, driving a lot of the product direction and vision there. A lot of that's done behind the scenes, but a lot of it they looked at for, like, what's being blogged out there, amplifying the message and that sort of thing. And that's the area they're not focusing on, right? The marketing, they don't care about marketing. And so I think it just got kind of shrunk down, and maybe something will spawn at a later date or something. But at the end of the day, that is something that impacted us as a partner and other people as well, because you have these strong relationships and we had direct access to product teams. But thankfully, everyone that still works there is still, we are in great communication with. We still have those connections and still able to have those conversations. But yeah, it was something that was definitely a deep kind of kick in the nuts a little bit. But you just take a step back and you look at it and you understand it, and you gotta just move on and contribute where you can other ways and help the community. And I'll tell you what, that because that happened with the community, look at World EUC, what spawned, and how fast, right? You guys reacted within days of that announcement on the CGC side, and that was 8+ years of heart, soul, and everyone put in, right? And it just flipped back to now being agnostic for everybody. I mean, just awesome work on that, and just seeing the growth over the last year, the conference. I mean, it's just incredible, and we're proud to be a part of that. On the sponsorship side, and obviously being friends and supporting you guys as much as possible. But it's really, I think, with every bad thing that happens, something good always comes out of it, right? And this is definitely one of those things. So.
Any thoughts, Oz?
Open that can of worms there.
Wow, that was a big can of worms reopen. I think.
Yeah. Well, I will shorten it up.
I think he emptied the can there. So no,
there's no, it's recycled now.
Well, I mean, because you saw it there in Omaha too. I mean, in your own area too. I mean, with Kansas City and Omaha, with both strong user groups and lots of people showing up, and then it kind of has fizzled. And then trying to get the band back together, it's really hard. Yeah, it's been really hard because some people, I think, just when that period of time went by and they said my career has been basically the same with or without going to these user group meetings once a month, once a quarter, it's just fallen off the radar and the drive's not there. But I think there's still something very magical about those kind of community meetings, not just the session you watch because you might learn something, but it's what happens before and after that session and just yapping about, because we're all in it together. We all have the same problems. We all have the same users. People still can't print, right? Like it's like all the same things and that kind of community. And then also like yapping about barbecue and kids and sports and TV and all that, like all that comes in there. And then that's when you really are like, it becomes really a user group at that point and a community. And, it's just really hard to get things rolling. But I'm positive after EUC World. I think that was really awesome. And y'all came up there and knocked it out of the park. And that was great and showed your support for the community there, too. And I know we've got lots of big things coming, too. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Titans will make their changes. We just got to keep the fellowship going through it all,
That's right. Yep.
For me personally, and I think for Shane too, we didn't lose that because I still lead my local mechanics user group here. Or I actually was doing two of them at the same time, which to be honest was a little overwhelming. So I was actually on the when that all went away from a Citrix standpoint, it actually reduced some stress for me a little bit because I still have the mechanics user group. So I mean, as soon as I got done planning one, I was planning the next, and it was just constant. So, yep.
Yeah, and you mentioned the CTP program and all of us being, former CTPs and that kind of stuff. Well, I think some fundamental changes needed to be made to the group. I am kind of surprised that it ended and how abruptly it ended. But I guess on the other hand, we shouldn't be so surprised either with how abruptly CUGC ended as well. So
yeah, if you look historically at how the communication is done by Citrix, it's kind of just like make the move quick and let the dust settle and they move on, right? And it's historically with that. I mean, it's just it's not, you'd like it to be more personal and have this one say this or that, but at the end of the day, it's like it happened. Like you got to just kind of you can't stay down on it. You got to keep moving forward and keep the connections, do what you can. But yeah, no, it's definitely the group needed to be, I think the change needed to adjust to the new vision, which is really product focused, right? Really focused on giving direct feedback, constant interaction, and driving the features in the product, and that's different than I think some of the folks in the group were focused on whether it's blogging or amplifying the message or not as much on the product side, and so I guess top down they looked and said, hey, we're not going to worry about this right now, but we still give feedback where we can and not gonna change that regardless of what happens there. So
agree there. Yeah, just, whether there's a program or not, we keep doing the same things. It doesn't really change what we do day to day. Kind of circling back on the tech side here, Oz, you're was it an NGCA, I believe, for NVIDIA?
Yeah, they just changed it to the Enterprise Advisor or something, NEPA program. But yeah, they just rebranded it. But yes.
Yeah, so kind of going into to GPUs and stuff. What are you seeing for GPUs in your customers? Are you seeing a lot? I know at one point everyone's like GPU for everyone, but you kind of got to keep more strategic and based on use case. So kind of want to hear what you're seeing with GPUs out there in the field.
Yeah, definitely strategic. And thank goodness we were early on that bus for graphics related workloads in NVIDIA back in the Kepler days, and been doing it a long time before this, the world caught fire with AI and that side of things with the GPU side of the story. So we've been doing the graphics with GPU, I don't know, maybe 10 years now. Definitely important and it gave us a leg up because we're known as one of the few actual partners that specialize and are good at designing, and building workloads and EUC graphical heavy solutions on top of
You
it.
don't just go to Best Buy and pick up a card. Like, what's going on?
There's a lot to think about, right? So into these type of specialized workloads, there is a lot to think about. So yeah, it's definitely an important facet for our business, because I can't even tell you, like right now, I think I have 4 or 5 CAD CAM specific ones, most of them being that I'm designing on Nutanix for GPU related workloads. This is all the SolidWorks, all the Revit, even the school districts are teaching this stuff, CAD CAM, and for those curriculums. And they're finding out that it saves them costs. You centralize those, you don't have to buy a $5,000 workstation. You just shift some of the costs to the data center. It's not like you're saving a ton, but you're shifting it and you're centralizing all those data sets, keeping it secure, the whole story, right? So we've been doing that for quite some time. But yeah, it's not all workloads. There are some that want that general, I want to make Windows 11 better situation. Right. I want to make it more like a localized laptop. Because you think about it, even those of us running like mine right now, I have an Intel GPU on my CPU. Like I got a GPU here. If you take that away altogether with a VDI situation, you're losing something. So some of them want that, and they're not doing heavy use, CAD CAM or anything like that. But it's definitely a discussion. It's not a GPU for all, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Microsoft Office is definitely a hungry hippo for all the menus and the layout and the smoothness and all that. Like a GPU makes it much, much better if you can give someone even, and I guess on the NVIDIA side, they've really tweaked it down to kind of those productivity use cases instead of just high end, makes a Pixar movie, play a video game in it, where you can get just a sliver of it. And that's enough to make a visual difference. And then as the UIs are going, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I do see a difference without even like Benny and Go EUC and Ruben and all those, all their metrics. You can just see it, you can feel it, and it's tangible and real. Whereas like if you weren't playing the video game on there, you'd never know if it was good or bad, right?
Yep. Exactly. You don't have to be doing high-end stuff to realize when you lose your GPU.
Just in traditional browser these days is the big app, right? I mean, so yeah, it's definitely a big part of it. And seeing that, just when you talk cloud PC, there's a SKU for GPU as well, and we got a large.
That's really cool. I'm looking forward to that because that's the thing. I think like even Windows 11 on its own, which is like the default OS for like cloud PC. That's where I think it shines, is having just that little sprinkle of GPU, because it's just so much more graphics. It's not just a gray start menu bar that we had for 15 years or something like that. It's all rounded and smooth, and the way Arrow loads and the menus and all that, like you need a little nugget of something.
Yeah, for sure.
So I had put got a boomerang question because, what was it last week? Brian Madden back at the Citrus with his buddy Sean Bass. And so, I mean, they're both, I guess Sean went to VMware first.
Yep.
But then Jack was there, and then Brian went there, and then all three were there for a little bit. Brian left, Jack stayed, Sean left. Now Sean's here. So, I mean, like, some heavy hitters in the EUC space. I mean, what are y'all's thoughts on that? I'm thinking it's kind of cool, but what do y'all think?
Yeah, Shane, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, just from Sean's perspective, when we heard that, I know it's probably been a year now, right? I mean, it's got to be close to a year, and so I was definitely super excited. And Sean, over 10 years, actually first met him at Bryform, this 2009, right? So, and I was in one of his sessions and did his he had some advanced. He used to go around doing these advanced master classes and stuff, and. Just an incredible human and just a titan in the industry for years and years, right? And just you're probably the humblest dude you'll meet, and just his deep technical understanding, security and EUC through and through across the board. And so when he went to VMware, that long time ago, that was like a kick. And we're like, wow, man, that's and look what he took, a small little horizon that really, I mean, they kind of did VDI. I didn't understand EUC. I mean, he took them to where they are,
Yeah, with workspaces and all that.
I mean, it was incredible and took a lot of those big enterprise customers over there, right? And so seeing him come back to Citrix, and just like what Citrix is going through, right? VMware going through the same thing with the acquisition. Obviously, that creates a lot of change.
Yep.
And I think him joining. Citrix is under a good leadership there on the product side with Sridhar.
Yep.
And now and he's an incredible human as well, and being there 20 plus years, and having Sean there on the CTO side of things, and being able to focus on the technology, and with the not having those same public limitations that are there, being a public company and being able to drive the vision. I think it's super exciting, and I think he's going to bring some great security enhancements and vision across the board. So I'm super excited on Sean being there. And then Brian, I think, was definitely didn't expect that, but you look at where his history, obviously EUC and been there forever, and Bryform really founded the community, big part of that. And tell you what, I mean, he's an incredible guy too, but just, his what he does, he deep dives, right? He went deep dive in a year plus 2 years ago, workplace AI, all this stuff, doing his talks on that. I mean, that's the next logical step for Citrix on a big enterprise play on enterprise AI. You get the guy, he's been doing that deep research, and he's a fantastic speaker. He can go into these big enterprises and go, help that message, help bring some value there. So I think my guess is that's going to be a lot of the focus there, is helping with that kind of vision. Obviously, he's an incredible speaker. Maybe help take some load off Sean with some of that, getting out there, talking to the vision. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's exciting. So what do you think, Oz? But
I was very surprised. I'll say that. Very surprised. I am interested to see where this goes. But to me, it was a little bit of irony sprinkled in, because Citrix just got done killing all.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, I know.
And then you bring over one of the big community guys, right? Yeah. That's huge. It's like it didn't
build the community in one sense, right? I mean, EUC, we're trying to baby emulate it, right? With our EUC World event and all that. And I mean, and I think, Shane's got it. It's a titan in the EUC industry, right? Those two guys, right? Have done so much.
It was a little strange, but I mean, it's cool having them over no matter what. But yeah, they just got done nuking the community on their side, and then you bring in Brian, right? So I don't know. I'm interested to see where it plays out and where that goes. And
time will tell.
I will tell. Yeah.
Speaking of community and EUC community, where will we see the Choice team next? Does Choice have any upcoming events, or are you all going to be at any upcoming events?
Well, Jarian, Choice Solutions will be at
movie voice. What do we have coming up? So we'll be at it's partner driven, right? Citrix Unite's partner driven, so I don't think there'll be any. But .next, right? We'll be there.
Yeah.
And then before that, IGEL Disrupt will be over there. I'm trying to think anything else.
Myself and Ray will be at you guys'.
Yes.
Amplify.
Yep.
Amplify. I do have to get registered for that, Ray.
You should probably click that.
It's probably I'm gonna.
There's that button right here. Look at it, right there.
Yes. So we're definitely got that to go Minneapolis, correct?
Yep.
For that. So yeah, we're gonna be bouncing around. Shane, are you going to, like you said, now and next, right, Joe?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be at the IGEL. It's local to me down here in the patch, so I'm gonna be over there. And IGEL is obviously just they have a big ecosystem being on the thin client side. So there's that conference brings a lot of the ecosystem players in. So it's a good spot to kind of connect with the partners, connect with customers, and some good folks there. So we'll be there, and then obviously .next in Washington.
Wrapping up the year, we're both going to be at Ignite over there in California this year.
That's very true. Yeah. Yeah, that's being growing on our Microsoft side. We thought this is the first year, I guess we'll make it out there, and I think it makes sense as we continue to build those relationships. So
we got local events coming up for Choice too. We got a Big 12 watch party in your patch over there, Jarian, KC, coming up March 12th, I think it is. We have some local events down in Florida happen, Top Golf in Des Moines. So, Ellie from our marketing side has always got some cool stuff she's got going on with our key strategic partners. And so we got those local events. And I know I'm trying to put together something, or at least my team and my something around the CWS in June here in Omaha. So,
Okay.
yep.
Always a big event there.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, choicesolutions.com/events right here. Now I got to make you put something, otherwise it's going to look like I'm pointing at nothing. Darn, more editing. But yeah, that's as Oz mentioned, marketing does a fantastic job. But all our events are tracked there, so you can kind of see what else we got cooking. So
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking about cooking, what are y'all cooking this weekend? What's the meal of choice for the weekends? What do y'all do? What's the go-to?
Man,
Just make a sandwich.
Your sandwich. Oh man,
I am.
Oz gets that turkey sandwich. He's ready to go.
I'm a
Back me off.
simpleton. I am not.
All right, so we're putting mustard, mayonnaise, ketchup. I mean, there's got to be something to it, or is it?
I think Oz is just a straight bread and turkey guy. I don't even think he does the condiments.
Straight turkey, dude. It's simple over here, man. I don't do a lot of cooking. Only time I'm on the grill is when my girl's birthday parties, or randomly like we get some. I'm not jarring.
Just hot dogs. Then what are we doing?
Just bread.
Do some charcoal, do some hamburger, do some hot dogs. You know, the very complicated stuff over here.
Yeah. All right, Shane, you got to have something good. What's cooking this weekend?
Yeah, so just actually, been getting into cooking for a while now, but we just got in the new place, just picked up a barbecue, and was cooking some steaks. And so this weekend we're actually watching our nieces. So they're going to be at the house. So we're going to cook some, steaks. So we'll get some hamburgers, hot dogs. Nothing crazy. But yeah, no, I'm trying to get into. Want to learn to make some fresh pasta. I just want that to kind of be a specialty, man. Check Evan Funky, man. He's opened up Mother Wolf down here in Florida, and then in LA. But he's got I think it's called Chef's Table on Netflix, the noodle special. You watch how he rolls each one of those pieces of pasta, man. Most people aren't going to have patience for that, but there's something about just fresh pasta that just it's incredible. So
you can't compare it.
It's insane, man. Yeah. So I think obviously barbecue, and like Jarian's an incredible cook, by the way. You should definitely do some like that, man. Bring in a little cooking tip coming in on these podcasts.
What have a cooking show?
Yeah, you follow Jarian's Instagram. He's been posting I see you doing the plating now, Jarian. You got the plate nice. You're like putting the stuff. That's a whole nother ball game. But yeah, I want to try to get fresh pasta is kind of something I really want to focus. I always do breakfast and stuff. So this weekend we'll do breakfast, make some eggs, pancakes, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's it. Keep it simple with the hamburgers and hot dogs.
We'll do some mac and cheese, I'm sure, this weekend.
I got an important question. I got an important question for you, Shane. You mentioned you got a grill. What'd you end up buying?
Oh man, now you're gonna put me on the spot. So it's actually kind of funny story. Yeah. So I was going to do all this research, and then we had to rush in to get some family coming over, and my wife's cousin, and he's like, "Hey, you want to cook on the barbecue?" I'm like, "Oh, barbecue?" And he's got a truck, and I need to get the barbecue. So I'm like, "Well, if you want to pick the barbecue up." So then it was the day before, and my wife was like, she's like, "Oh, I'll check the barbecues out." So she went to like Lowe's, and there was this nice one, Monumentum or something like that. Momentum, I don't know. But it's got this glass like front, and so you can see what's cooking on the inside. So anyway,
so you got a gas grill.
No, yeah, gas grill. Yeah. So I was gonna go Blackstone. I know we got to talk about this.
I even have charcoal over here.
I know, man. So yeah, it gets
beating you up, man.
Yeah. So I went there with our cousin, and then the cousin, they're asking, so what are you thinking, man? What barbecue you gonna get? I was like, my wife was out here scoping it, ahead of time. You go, oh, we already know you're gonna pick whatever the wife scoped out. I was like, no, this is my decision. I made this decision. And, so it's kind of funny because I pulled it up. I'm like, look, it's right here. It's beautiful. And then his wife was like, you know what she did, right? She totally set that all up. So you pick up that. But it is kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. You can see what's cooking. What grill can you see through and see what's cooking? That's pretty neat.
You don't need to see it. That's why you have temperature probes and that kind of stuff. You don't need to see it. You just got to let them sit. That explains why I have the working hands cream, because I'm losing my man card. And I brought that up because my man card's down. You're 100% right, man, on the thermometer. You don't need to see shit, man.
Yeah.
But I do open the oven door a lot, so I'm like the guy that like opens it all the time. So that's
Hey, at least I admit I don't do it, but I have charcoal. And the other part, mine's like a split.
I'm telling you, charcoal hot dogs and hamburgers are legit. It's better than gas for sure.
The gas side for like the quick hot dogs for the kids when they want something during the week. Charcoal's what I end up in. So at least
I'm gonna get like an arsenal. This is like the one, and I'm gonna get the black stuff. We're gonna get some charcoal. It's gonna be a whole thing. We'll do an update later. I'll tell you about.
Okay, all right. When we have our kitchen barbecue update, we'll invite you back.
I will let you know. This is a starter kit.
Sure, invite me to that one.
You got to get yourself like a Wilbur kettle or something, man. That's the most versatile one you can get to learn on is a Wilbur kettle. Because you can do dual. I told you that too, because you can do dual zone. You can do hot and fast. You can smoke on it. You can pretty much do anything you want on a kettle.
You just moved in. Is this return? Can we return this thing?
Yeah. Well, listen, I always do the 90-day, man. I definitely can do it.
If you're in the trial period, you can pull it back.
I might do it, man. Lowe's is pretty good with that. But actually, wait, I'm on camera now. I don't know how to. But yeah, it's funny you talk about zones and stuff, man. You're right. There's all these different. So much to learn, man.
Yeah.
What are you making, Patrick? Since you brought the question up.
Oh, I mean, we do brisket. Do a brisket every week, just because it's like the most poundage of meat. Everyone eats it. No one complains.
Brisket.
You can eat it straight out of the fridge. I mean, it doesn't even have to be warmed up the second time because it just falls apart. So that's our go-to. And then every now and then, like a pork butt or a whole chicken or two.
The nice thing is if you have leftover brisket, you can always vacuum seal it.
Oh, yeah.
And then put in the freezer and warm up later. And that comes in handy for a quick meal.
Yeah.
So.
Brisket, man. I'll look into that this weekend. Yeah, my wife's uncle makes a mean brisket. So.
Yeah, but you need like a real grill to do a brisket. Otherwise, it's just an oven on a gas grill.
You tell me my Monumentum with a glass front is not going to cover this?
No.
So I got two I'll send you a picture. I think it's
you won't get smoke. You have to get a smoke box though, because the main thing when you're doing that, you need smoke flavor, and you're not going to get that in a gas grill unless you get one of those smoke tubes, and it's not the same as like a charcoal or even a pellet. Yeah, pellet is a step down from charcoal, but now you have some pellets that you can put wood chunks.
Yep.
And charcoal, because I have one that does both. So, yeah, I'm doing brisket as well, but I'm trying something stupid. So I'm experimenting. I found me a good sized brisket that wasn't too expensive at Costco on Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, Costco's
and so,
meats, man.
Yeah, I allowed to do that at Costco. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a mezcal, orange soy type marinade on it. Ooh. Overnight. I've never marinated a brisket. I've only done I'd never wet brined or wet marinated a brisket. I've always done dry, right? So I'm gonna let it marinate overnight.
That's gonna be good.
Yeah, and then take it out, and then put salt and pepper on it for the rub, and smoke that thing for as long as it takes. But it might be good, it might be stupid, but that's how you learn. You experiment on stuff. So. But anyways, kind of moving on here because we're kind of closing things down and getting off topic. Any closing remarks here? Patrick, Shane, any closing remarks? I know, Shane, that you mentioned go to choicesolutions.com for events. Anything else or anywhere else to get information? You mentioned the YouTube channel to watch the webinars. Anything else you want to share about Choice Solutions or getting more information?
Yeah, I mean the website. I mean it has our jump starts. We talked about those in the website. We have a lot of jump starts for these various services that we just talked about, like the AVD plus the DVD plus Nerdio, Cloud PC, the new team stuff, all of that. We have jump starts around. Those are all out there too under the events link or something as well for jump starts. I don't know which link, but they're out there. Make sure to go out there. We're excited to be, paired up with you guys and be the only one.
Yeah.
Very proud of that, for being your channel sponsor, for what we're doing. So, pretty excited to, come to Amplify, hang out with you guys. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, it's Oz hit it. I mean, like I said, we got a lot of jumpstart services. We do an advisory workshop as well, focused around EUC for kind of larger enterprises, companies that are looking to just understand and unpack all the different changes that are going on in the industry and the market, like 2 to 3 day workshop and stuff like that. So do a lot of advisory services, but ultimately, we're like I said, boutique shop, and we're here to help. We love talking architecture, design, and just a phone call away, an email, a click, the whole nine. So But yeah, no, good group of folks at Choice. We're happy to be here and happy to be connected with you guys and hopefully expand the message and hopefully folks are in the World of EUC Slack, because that is probably the de facto best place to be from a just a support, but also just knowledge sharing, right? It's not just like a spot like, hey, can you help? But it's also everyone learns from each other, so it's definitely a great spot to be. So
yeah.
Any closing remarks from you, Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if anything, the simplest is just thank y'all for Choice, because I mean, we wouldn't literally be here without y'all and your support. And then also, thank y'all for your friendship over all these years and all the nerdy things we've done and still yet to do, right?
yeah,
There's still probably going to be another YMCA dance sometime in
nice,
Florida.
man. Still, that was the best, man. There's videos out there somewhere.
Yeah, so, but yeah, that's my biggest thing is just thank you. And I know every time that I hear y'all speak, I always learn something, and that's what's always impressed me. So that's good stuff.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you guys too. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to echo what Patrick said as well. Thank you for being one of our sponsors. Thank you for supporting us from the beginning. Always happy to be around the Choice family. And just thank you guys for everything you do. I also want to congratulate you because you guys recently had a big accomplishment. I think it was yesterday, the day before you guys announced it, that you guys became a Nutanix Premier Partner as well. So congratulations on that. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you. That's Krill leading up our practice there and got a lot of years behind it. So doing a lot of great things on the Nutanix side. So yep, thank you for that, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and hope you guys have a great weekend. For everyone listening, make sure that you join the website, worldofeuc.org, where you can sign up, and that'll give you information on local groups, webinars, events, our newsletter, and so forth. You can also find the information to join the Slack channel. Look at our YouTube channel as well, where this will be posted in video form, along with the audio where the regular podcasts go. So I want to thank you all for listening to the Frontline Chatter podcast, brought to you by the World of EUC, and we will talk to you next time.
Later.
Awesome. Okay, everybody. See ya.
Go Lions.